salaries and reduced financial support for the FBI in our FY24 budget. It was really effectively held flat, which it is a challenge in inflationary times. You request $85.4 million for the restoration of 270 positions related to national security and law enforcement. Is this your highest priority?
The restoration of positions is our highest priority, yes.
And if that was accomplished, if we were capable of doing that, that would the benefit of that is just what you described to Senator Reid, correct?
Right. The goal would be to allow us to sustain the pace that was set with the 23 budget. Because what's happened is the net effect of the 24 budget is to set us back $500 million because of the factors that you listed. So the key is to restore our operations so that we can continue to hum against all the things that I was listing off to Senator Reid and not set us backwards. And if that doesn't happen, then we start falling even further behind is the problem.
Do you have a significant number of vacant positions already?
We have some positions that are vacant. Our fill rate is actually higher than historically it has been at the FBI, which is a good thing. It's good news for America. But so we're trying to kind of manage our way through the 24 cuts through a combination of attrition and how fast we're filling the vacant positions we do have. But if it lasts, if what happened with 24 is replicated, then we're going to be in a real world of hurt.
Is the FBI workforce, what's the age category? Is it aging, or it's are the people nearing retirement that work at the FBI, or?
Well, we're coming off of the heels of you might call it a bit of a retirement bulge when you just look actuarially. So in other words, if you went back 20 plus years, there was a big hiring spree, if you will, post 9/11, and 1811s, armed law enforcement agents in particular, in other words, the way the system works, if they have 20 years in service and they're 50 years or older, they're eligible to retire. So whenever you're looking at retirement age of the workforce, you got to go back 20 plus years and see what was happening then. And so we're coming off of a bit of a bookend of that group. So it's starting to level off is the last time I looked at it. So we're not in a big retirement bulge right now anymore. So that's part of why it's an issue.
Director, I mentioned in my opening statement the southern border and the challenges that we've had at the border. I mentioned a member of ISIS. I mentioned a NBC News report about an individual that was on the terrorist watch list that was released. I recognize that the primary responsibility implicates the failures at the Department of Homeland Security, but the FBI Terrorist Screening Center is the primary federal entity responsible for national security screening and for facilitating the sharing of information across government. Do these cases reflect a breakdown in our efforts to ensure that all government partners have full, actionable information they need to protect our citizens from terrorism?
So I'm not sure I can discuss specific examples, but let me try to get at your question this way. So certainly we have seen over the last 5 to 6 years an increase in the number of known or suspected terrorists, in other words, watch-listed subjects attempting to cross the border. And that is of concern, and that's where there's a lash-up between the TSC and CBP at the border that I think in general works pretty well. The bigger problem, in my view, is twofold. One, individuals who, when they come in, are either armed with fake documents or snuck in some way, or, and this is very important, individuals for whom there's not enough derogatory information in the intelligence community to watch list them yet. So let me just unpack that a little bit because this is an important point because it kind of goes to what Senator Collins was asking me about. and it may relate a little bit to your other hat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. So as we collect collectively across the intelligence community and with our partners less information about foreign terrorists overseas, there's less information to be had about who the people coming into this country are, which then means...
Would you say that sentence again? I missed the first part of the sentence.
So the way I look at it is, as we have less collection overseas against foreign terrorism, there's less sources of information to inform people about people coming in. So in other words, somebody could be coming in who should be watch listed, but isn't. And it's not because of a breakdown between CBP and the TSC. It's because the information that should have told everybody that this person is a threat has not yet been unearthed by whatever intelligence agency it is out there. Because it's not just the FBI that puts people on the watch list. We're getting information from lots of other agencies. So as we pull out of Afghanistan, for example, you get less and less information about whether somebody from Afghanistan is actually a threat. And so some of the cases that I have seen that concern me are situations where somebody comes into the United States. It's not because there was a breakdown between CBP and the TSC. It's because they weren't watch listed at the time. But in hindsight, they should have been watch listed because information was later developed that says, uh-oh, this person is a problem. You see what I'm saying there, right? That's a much bigger concern, in my view. And so we really need to be focusing on how we can try to address that with the rest of the intelligence community, with our partners, and so forth. When that happens, when we find somebody who's here in the United States who we now then know this person needs to be put on the watch list, then we use our joint terrorism task forces to go out and try to find the person, work with our state and local partners. We have the backstop of 800,000 sworn law enforcement, et cetera. But that to me is a bigger concern than the number of KSTs.
Director, just a brief follow-up. Is there a delay in timing once someone is known, it's known that they should be on the watch list? Is there a delay before it's known across government agencies?
I don't know about delay. I mean, there's an interagency process.
How long does it take?
I think it varies is the short answer. I mean, it's not just the FBI can snap its fingers and put somebody on the list. There's an interagency, very rigorous process to protect civil liberties and other things to put somebody on the watch list. But once they're on the watch list, there's pretty much instantaneous notification to the relevant parties. Yeah.